The atmosphere inside the NovaCare complex is shifting, and the quiet confidence of the offseason is being replaced by the cold reality of roster construction. I am hearing from sources close to the front office that the next few months will bring a level of turnover that many fans are not prepared for. We are talking about prominent names and established contributors who might find themselves looking for work elsewhere. Before we dive into the specific players on the move, make sure to hit that subscribe button and help us reach our 500 subscriber goal today. A.J. Brown is the name that continues to dominate every conversation in the building right now, and the trade rumors surrounding the star wide receiver are far from over as we approach the critical June 1st deadline. While the public stance might be one of stability, the internal whispers suggest that the Eagles are meticulously evaluating every single scenario that involves their offensive centerpiece. The front office is currently in the process of building a roster for the upcoming season, and that means looking for upgrades everywhere through the draft and beyond. They are aiming for a full 90-man roster for minicamp, but the math simply does not work for everyone currently in the locker room. There is a palpable sense that some of the players at the bottom of the roster are already safe, while several prominent contributors are staring down a very uncertain summer. The organization cannot keep everyone, and the chopping block is looking more crowded than usual this year. We are seeing a situation where players who were once considered locks are now fighting for their professional lives in Philadelphia. But A.J. Brown is just the beginning of this story, because there are 5 other players whose departure would shake the foundations of this roster even more than a trade would. These are guys who have been part of the system, but are now finding themselves on the outside looking in as fresh talent arrives to claim their spots. The competition is going to be fierce, and the fallout will be felt across every single unit on this team. You need to know which names are truly in jeopardy before the first whistle of training camp blows, because the landscape of this team is about to change forever. We are looking at specific position battles where the incumbents are losing ground fast, and the veterans are feeling the heat from younger and more versatile options. If you think your favorite player is safe, just because of their name or their past production, you might want to think again, because the front office is looking for results over reputation right now. The first major names on this list will surprise you as they represent a shift in how the team views depth. Things are heating up quickly in Philadelphia, and the roster is changing by the hour. Which veteran do you think is the most likely to be cut before week 1? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I want to see if your sources match mine. We are just getting started with the real details on these 5 players. Howie Roseman has never been one to shy away from aggressive roster management, and his latest moves are putting several young players in an impossible situation, starting with the running back room. Will Shipley was brought in with high expectations, but the room has become incredibly crowded after the team acquired Tank Bigsby and signed Damon Pierce in free agency. Pierce is the wild card here because of his proven ability as a kick returner, which is a direct threat to Shipley's primary path to the active roster. If the Eagles decide to use a mid-round pick on another running back this year, Shipley's time in Philadelphia could be over before it truly began. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, Jacorian Bennett is facing a massive uphill battle in a cornerback room that is suddenly overflowing with elite talent. With Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean locked in as the future and Rick Woolen coming in as a top free agent signing, there is almost no room left for Bennett to breathe. He struggled to find the field last season and never seemed to earn the favor of the coaching staff, which makes his path to the 53-man roster look like a mountain. He has to beat out veterans like Jonathan Jones and hungry rookies just to stay in the conversation. Then we look at Stone Smart, who was signed to help the tight end room, but now finds himself buried under Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. The addition of Johnny Munt, specifically for blocking purposes, directly undermines the value Smart brought to the table. Howie Roseman has openly admitted that the tight end room needed more physicality, and if the team targets a long-term replacement for Goedert in the draft, Smart will be the first one out the door. Finally, we have to talk about Darius Cooper, who was a great story last season, but now faces a wide receiver room that has been completely revamped. With the additions of Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore, there are very few snaps left to go around for an undrafted free agent. If the team keeps A.J. Brown, then Cooper is fighting for a special teams role against guys like Britton Covey, who have a much longer track record of success. The reality is that the margin for error for these players has vanished, and the front office is ready to pull the trigger on these moves as soon as the draft concludes. The underlying strategy here is clear for anyone who understands the way this front office operates under the current leadership. The Eagles are not just building a roster for this season, they are meticulously crafting a salary cap structure that allows them to remain competitive through the late 2020s. This means that high-priced veterans and mid-tier players who are not providing elite value are constantly under the microscope. The impact of these potential cuts and trades will be felt most significantly in the locker room, where leadership dynamics are always delicate. If a player like A.J. Brown is moved, it signals a complete pivot in the offensive philosophy, moving toward a more balanced and perhaps draft-centric approach. For the younger players like Jacorian Bennett and Will Shipley, the message is even harsher, which is that being a recent draft pick or a promising prospect offers no protection in this building. The coaching staff is under immense pressure to deliver a championship window right now, and they do not have the luxury of waiting for players to develop if there are better options available on the street or in the later rounds of the draft. Looking toward the future, we can expect the Eagles to be very active players in the post-June 1st market, where they can maximize their cap savings and potentially snag a disgruntled veteran from another team. This constant churn is what keeps the Eagles at the top of the NFC, but it also creates an environment of intense stress for the players who are on the bubble. The upcoming minicamps will be the true testing ground where these 5 players will have to prove they are indispensable or face the reality of a pink slip. We are also watching the trade market very closely because Howie Roseman is famous for turning roster surplus into draft capital at the very last minute. If Bennett or Shipley show any flashes of value during the preseason, do not be surprised if they are shipped off to a cornerback-needy team for a future 5th-round pick. This is the nature of the NFL, and in Philadelphia, the pressure to perform is amplified by a fan base that demands excellence. The next few weeks will define the identity of the 2026 Eagles, and unfortunately for some fans, that means saying goodbye to players they have grown to like. The roster is a living organism, and right now it is evolving at a pace that is leaving several notable names behind in the dust. What we are witnessing is the brutal efficiency of a championship organization that refuses to settle for mediocrity at any position on the depth chart. The potential departure of players like A.J. Brown or the cutting of young talents like Will Shipley and Jacorian Bennett is not just about clearing roster spots, it is about a relentless pursuit of perfection. For the fans, this can be a difficult process to watch because it feels like the team is constantly in flux, but this is exactly how you avoid the stagnation that plagues so many other franchises in this league. The meaning behind these moves is simple, which is that the logo on the helmet matters more than the name on the back of the jersey. Every decision made by the front office is designed to ensure that the Philadelphia Eagles have the best possible chance to hold that Lombardi trophy at the end of the year. Whether you agree with the trade rumors or the potential cuts, you have to respect the commitment to winning that drives these decisions. This team is at a crossroads, and the choices made this summer will echo through the next several seasons of Eagles football. It is a high-stakes game of chess where every pawn and every queen is subject to being sacrificed for the ultimate goal. As we move closer to the draft and the critical deadline, stay tuned to this channel because the information is coming in fast and the situation is incredibly fluid. Do you believe that moving on from these players is the right move for the long-term health of the franchise, or are the Eagles making a massive mistake by letting this much talent walk out the door? I want to hear your most honest takes in the comments sections below right now. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the internal workings of the Eagles roster, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a like so you never miss a single update from inside the building. We are covering every move and every rumor with the depth you can only get from real sources. Thank you for being part of this community and for following along as we track the most important off-season in recent memory for the Birds. This is more than just football, it is the future of our franchise, and we are watching it unfold together. Fly, Eagles, fly, and I will see you in the next update.